Welcome to another week. This is Joy News Interactive with me, Benis Abubedo. I'm excited to be here because a lot happened over the weekend. And obviously, we do have a lot to discuss. And I'm eager to hear what you have to say on trending issues here on Joy News Interactive. We are live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144. We're also streaming live on Facebook. Our name is Joy News on TV. You know, over the weekend, there was the MPP Delegates Conference, so we'll be talking a bit about that. And we'll also be touching on that, you may want to call it, if not an exaggeration, the biggest bout of the century, Mayweather and McGregor, and what happened with it after all the hype. But let's start here, because it appears our constant criticism, you know, has finally reached government's ears. You know why? Well, I'll tell you why. Former President Kufuor has spoken about it, and guess what? He's appealing to all of us to allow President Kufuor more time to put his government programs in order to propel the country into prosperity. Speaking in the Akan dialect, that's Chi, the former president questioned why critics of President Kufuor will expect so much from a government that is barely a year in office. He said, even, you know, it's not cassava. Cassava takes about 6 months to mature, and so he thinks that we're, you know, being overly expectant of government. But do you agree? Let's get onto Facebook and get your comments. Philip Ahuma says, I think it's too early to judge the MPP. Let us also not forget the local saying that say, that's to say Saturday will be good, or Saturday will be exciting. It'll start from Friday evening. I've not heard this one before. I've heard Grobeswa. I've heard that one. Anyway, that's someone sharing his opinion on this matter. Daniel Carson says over-expectant. When they were promising and lying, they thought they would lose, but instead they won. So God will show the consequences of lying. Okay, that's Daniel's opinion. Desmond Dokili says a child learns how to crawl, walks, then starts to run. So let's give the government some time. And Justice Brethren German says it might sound conscious if he's speaking truly from the heart and not because of politics. Okay, the use of conscious, I'm not surprised. He's German. Prince Nuruddin Baumia says, may Allah protect and guide the president and the vice president to be able to fulfill their pledges. Kojo Dua Mankwa says Nanado's government will deliver. And Nana Hesi Odri says words of wisdom by peerless President Kufuor. And Joseph Lawason says not by power but by the grace. We hope to see his promises accomplished. So let's stay a while on this matter having to do with governance and all that. The Ghana Integrity Initiative is calling for immediate investigations into bribery allegations being leveled against presidential staffers at the Flagstaff House. Its executive director, Linda Ofori-Kwafo, says such allegations could affect President Akufo-Addo's resolve to deal with corruption in the country. These comments come after MP for Asin Central, Kennedy Japan, claimed a presidential staffer demanded $20,000 from an unnamed investor just to see the president. Now, what do you make of this call by the GII? And Alexander Sefa says, well, I support Madam Kwafo's call for the investigation against Asin. So, all right, that's what the allegation is. Would shooting sweep under the carpet? All right, he goes on and on about it. Cindy Atakro sighs and says, it's like we are joking in this country. Corruption has eaten deep into the very sector or sectors that are supposed to deal with it. We heard of NCAs and nothing was said. Snit's own is now the talk of town. As if it's not enough, presidential staffers are now being, you know, leveled with corruption charge. He's asked. Amankwa Percy says, there they go. To the NDC, this makes fine case. Don't be overjoyed, because this is not enough to make MPP your partner in crime. Interesting. But he says, anyway, there's no smoke without fire, so I suggest they dig deep down. Let's see if these allegations make sense. Kennedy should be asked to substantiate. He can't be making unfounded allegations. And Obeng Fofie Samson says, from day one, there have been bribery allegations against the government from Minister Boachi Jako, which Parliament set up a committee within themselves to investigate the Bost saga, and this one too. This has been within 8 months. Yes, they claim being competent. Well, time will define their competency. Kobna Enoch says, we don't want such crazy things in government that I voted for. The allegations should be investigated immediately, and if they're found culpable, they should be kicked out. Francis Ampong says, Ken doesn't lie. Well, that's according to Francis. And a lot of people, well, kind of agree with that. Says investigations should be conducted. No one will sink this boat, as Nana himself said. If Nana fails, Ghana is doomed, according to Francis. Justice Brethren. All right, we'll skip that. Desmond Oakley says it needs to be resolved to clear the air about corruption going on at the Flagstaff House. And Nafo Roger Windsor Karim says, oh, yes, it ought to be investigated. Sweeping it under the carpet won't help. Philip Ahuma says, this is a serious allegation we should be taking seriously, because he's not the only person making that allegation. The president should tackle the situation because it's right under his nose. Now, talking about not being the only person making that allegation, I'm sure in the build-up to the 2016 election, you may have seen that A+ openly supported the New Patriotic Party. He was all for President Akufo-Addo. So, you know what, it's interesting because sometime last week, the rapper and MPP fanatic Kwame A+ took to social media and wrote some unprintable words about the Akufo-Addo government with specific mention of 2 deputy chiefs of staff. Takes us back to the Flagstaff House. He accused them of being arrogant and corrupt. Now, let me quote a section of that script. He says, you think you'll be in power forever? Even John Mahama, I was not afraid of him, then you. Now, there's a reply from one of the deputies, Francis Asenso-Boakye, who says that he's rejected these accusations. Now, a portion of his statement reads, indulging in baseless accusations and unsubstantiated claims of corruption and arrogance is beneath you and frankly discredits you in the eyes of right-thinking Ghanaians. Well, as the president noted at the just-ended MPP Delegates Conference, he's willing and ready to look into any case of alleged corruption. You may kindly take up his generous offer and present your case to him. This has been widely discussed on social media. Let's pick your thoughts on what's happening between A+ and Mr. Asensa as they, back and forth and banter goes on. Desmond says, well, in every rumor there's an iota of truth. So if they think their hands are clean, the allegation leveled against them should be open for thorough investigation. Samuel Echampan says he must substantiate his allegations referring to A+ against these 2 gentlemen with an incontrovertible evidence, or forever keep his mouth shut. We are fed up with people making baseless allegations against their fellows just to bring their highly earned reputation to disrepute for cheap popularity. Says haters will lose. And Al-Hassan Idrissa says, I don't think he provided evidence with the allegations he made against Mahama's government, but the MPP accepted as at fact and valid. Why should he provide evidence now? Says karma never lies. Also, you reap what you sow. If you raise a tiger in your house as a cat and it grows, it shows you its true nature by eating you up. All right, so quite some interesting reactions to that. He's had a few likes and loves and laughter over his comments. Nana Hesse Ojuri says, no, if I were the deputy chief of staff, I will not waste my time to dignify A+ with a response. He thinks that this is needless provocation. But Stephen says, well, a truthful man yesterday cannot change just like that. A+ was a holy book yesterday, and everything he said about President Mahama, former President Mahama, was held as a truth. The MPP cannot turn around to deny him today. Fatal Mohammed Photo says, not so long ago in this country, A+ was a discovery, and every allegation he made against the then John Mahama government was the truth and nothing else. Just 7 or so months in government, and the truth-speaking person has suddenly become a liar and must provide evidence to support his allegations. Indeed, posterity will be the best judge and will surely judge accordingly. A+, he says, well, the most revered to the most vilified now. Hope Siani says, when an aggressive horn-growing bull is not dehorned at infancy, it becomes a good fresh thorn in the headsman's flesh and stock. Time for reckoning is here, so receive it cool, referring to the MPP. Philip Ahuma says you can't just accuse someone of being corrupt without any evidence or proof. He should first state the act and provide evidence to back it. Manuel Quay says, I read with amusement when people call on him to apologize and retract. He should be ready to welcome the adventure with evidence. Else he leaves it there. Yabua Solomon says, Mr. Boachi can only defend himself and shouldn't hold brief for his colleague. The president should investigate immediately. So let's pick a few more here on this particular matter. Al-Hassan Idris, who says, when A+ was making allegations against the previous government, he was celebrated, defended, and supported. Now, what has changed, he asked? Is he not the same genuine, popular, anti-corruption campaigner we know and loved? Ghana is a very, very interesting country. We set our own exam questions and answered them and turned around and screamed that it was so easy. And Godwin Akli says, my brother, this is not enough to prove your innocence. Take him to court if you think there's any defamation. If not, he sighs. Prince Nuruddin Baumia says, to call a spade a spade. He should tell us why they are corrupt, because he who alleges must provide evidence, referring to A+. Amadou Ndebugri says, I know the MPP will cover this up, but the truth is clear. All right, well, Amadou, I don't know what you have. Maybe you can help. The president is willing to investigate. So once you say his officials are corrupt, seems that you have some evidence. So you can, help the president out. And, the whole of Ghana by extension. Nobel Basau sighs and says, when it's coming, then it's doing. That's the saying, Chi, Sebaneyo. Okay, says, we are here. Nana Yabuachi says, A+ is a cheap guy. And Sarah Daniel, is wondering who is who in the photograph. Okay, I mean, it means you don't know A+ then. Because it should be easier to identify A+, then automatically you know the other person is Asenso Boachi. All right, so we'll be taking a quick breather here, but when we come back, we'll be getting onto Twitter to talk about this bout. Obviously, I'm sure you now know that he's gone 50 bouts undefeated. I'm talking about Manny Mayweather. When we come back, we'll be talking about that. Stay tuned in. Thank you so much for staying here on Joy News Interactive. Now call it the bout of the moment, century, whatever you want to. But that was one bout to watch. The hype, the money involved. No parking space for private jets after I got full. Now, when we talk about the money here, it's not a joke at all. Apparently, we hear that McGregor, who was beaten, got $100 million. It's quite sketchy when you try to get the figures and the tickets. It's quite not clear, but we're hearing that he got that. Well, the unbeaten boxing ace Mayweather went to a 50-0 after stopping McGregor in the 10th round. And Twitter has been reacting. So let's get on to Twitter and Ghana Trends. When you get to the Ghana Trends page, there you have it. John Savage tweets after the fight, it is all good. Hashtag McGregor, hashtag Floyd Mayweather. So that's actually after the bout. And you can see them walking around like nothing really happened. And McGregor actually had an after party. Well, this I said, now McGregor is done. There's only one man left for Mayweather to fight. And I'm sure the person is trying to say this is the man Mayweather has to fight. Interesting things happening on Twitter about that particular bout. Hashtag Mayweather McGregor, hashtag McGregor, hashtag Mayweather. All right, let's move on to the next tweet. And Danny says, I wish I waited until after the fight. Okay, so this guy actually got a tattoo. You may just want to see it. Okay, so 49-1. Trying to say that McGregor would have, defeated Mayweather once. Comes with the flag of his country. Interesting. I mean, who does this? But I kind of feel this gentleman is pranking us, because who gets a tattoo this, it doesn't look like a clean tattoo. Anyway, well, that's why he tweeted, and someone says, damn, the Simpsons is there. Anything they didn't predict. So you know how, U.S. politics and how the Simpsons, that particular series, cartoon series, seems to have been quite predictive of elections and politics in the U.S. Now they are relating it to this particular bout and saying, is there anything the Simpsons didn't predict? And Eric Trump says, huge credit to hashtag McGregor. And he's had about 1,000 retweets. And Well, okay. Floyd Mayweather brings down Conor McGregor. All right. Interesting. I'm sure this got something to do with Game of Thrones. Interesting. Interesting things happening on Twitter. All right. Well, the UFC says he's a lot better than I thought he was. That's Mayweather about McGregor, right? So I'm sure the guy gave him, a fight. Well, it wasn't that easy in the 10th round. Had 2 more to go anyway to end the bout. But Right Voice now says, how did you score the fight? All right, okay. So there you have it. Okay, interesting. And I know a lot of you didn't sleep that night. 3 a.m. you were up. Okay, the President Trump Floyd Mayweather photo. The racist media doesn't want you to see. All right, okay. So President Trump and Mayweather, what winning looks like. All right, the two of them have obviously won something. So yeah, interesting things happening on Twitter about the Mayweather-McGregor bout. All right, that's one in slow-mo. Oh, was that supposed to be a joke? Looked like he was just teasing him. This one says the best punch of the whole hashtag Mayweather versus McGregor fight. You may just want to see it again. That's just like a tap. Interesting. Interesting. So I'm sure the conversation will go on. All right. He who fights, all I see is a man who is lion-hearted. Okay, McGregor. All right, let's put a breather on that. It's getting interesting on Twitter, but McGregor is trending there. All right, congratulations to Floyd Mayweather. Oh, that was a hard one. Oh, that was a hard one. All right, quickly, let's move on. That's all time will permit us on the McGregor-Mayweather bout. But let's move to another interesting subject. Now, there are days when you're so overwhelmed at work, and you may wish you hadn't signed up in the first place. And there are some days it can get so boring. There really isn't anything to do. Now, I'm not talking about people getting lazy. I'm talking about those who really want something to do, but there's not a lot on their plate. So we chanced on this on Facebook, and here's what some people who got bored at work did. I'll be showing you those pictures shortly. People just get creative when they are bored, and it's interesting. Some of the works there are done by engineers, some are done by artists. But my question to you today is, I'm not sure there was a time at work you were not bored. I'm not sure. There are moments like that. So what do you do to deal with the boredom at work? I'll be showing you shortly what some people have been doing. So let's take a quick look at that. That's actually a dollar bill. And just look at what someone did. Interesting. Some workers really get creative, killing boredom, all right? Credit board Panda for these pictures. And quickly, we'll move on to the next one. And all right, while we wait for that to buffer, we'll be showing you a lot more because it gets interesting on Facebook. But what have you been doing to while away time and to kill boredom at work? Tell me. Well, I'm not trying to sound all good, but sometimes I just try to maybe listen to good music and because if there's really nothing to do, I just don't want to waste a moment, all right? So here's another photo of someone who really got creative. So this man works at a vegetable, shop and decided to get creative. This one is from a salon. So after the people clipped their hair, this lady just decided to, put the hair together. It looks like a fluffy dog, sort of. She just got bored. Because if you have a lot of customers, you wouldn't have time to do this, really. So this just to kill boredom. Quickly, let's take your comment on what you do to kill boredom. All right, this one would interest you. Can you imagine? Someone got a cockroach and made a desk for the cockroach. I'm sure that's his boss's name, Milton. And wrote complaints, and that's how creative he got for boredom at work. So what have you been up to killing boredom? So yeah, I've shared with you what I do when to kill boredom. Quickly, we'll be taking some of your comments there on what you do to kill boredom. And talk of something that's also trending, you know, if you're a fan of KJT versus Makola, you know what I'm talking about. Apparently, the lawyer from the, you know, from the Port of Chambers actually won a case over the weekend, and a lot of people are talking about it. But about what you do to kill boredom, Philip Ahuma says, when I'm bored, I just go to social media to read funny posts or listen to music. Prince Nudin Baumia says, I go to social media, all right, or play winning 11 football game period. Barry Malamti says, I contact my jovial friends, if possible, by phone or text. Amadou Dabugri says, I browse Facebook, WhatsApp. However, I go quietly to locations and pray. Or that one, too, is a crime. He's asking. Your boss Solomon says, oh, you know, social media things on my phone. Social media has saved a lot of people, if you ask me. And that'll be all for this edition of John News Interactive. You know what? Maybe you can just pick, you know, a bit of creative instincts or two from these people who have shown us what they do when they are bored. And instead of going to social media, you can actually write a poem if you're, you know, that artistic, or do something that others can benefit from. That'll be all. My name is Ben Esabubedu. Many thanks for your company. I'll be back at 12 with news. See you then.